Hey guys, so this is my first live on Facebook. I didn't want to do a video. But so I was released yesterday from the hospital. I was admitted under an emergency admit at about 2:30 Friday morning. And the reason I'm making this video is because all of my followers, especially in the United States, I really think that we need to take initiative and make a push in our own communities for hospitals to have a better understanding of adults with SMA. I am treated at Cincinnati Children's for my injections. All my specialists are there, but I live over an hour away from there. So I went to Dayton Children's thinking that, they could handle SMA and should have been familiar. Um, that was wrong. I didn't know that at the time. Typically, they um, care flight all their SMA patients from Dayton Children's to Cincinnati Children's. So, anyways, there were a lot of things that they did wrong. But long story short, they transported me to another hospital, and it was a direct admit. They didn't listen. They were very arrogant about what they felt the course of treatment should be. I knew what was wrong. I knew I was having an asthmatic response to bronchitis. I've been fighting a sore throat since Tuesday. Wednesday, I had a fever. Thursday, I normally would have taken my own antibiotics, but I woke up feeling better. So I thought, it was a virus needing to work its way through. Then Thursday night at about 1:30, I woke up and I couldn't breathe. My chest was super tight, and it was basically I was having bronchial spasms, and I couldn't catch my breath. So I went to the ER. The hospital I was transported to, I planned to write a very long, detailed letter to administration about everything that went wrong. I mean, everything went wrong. They tested me for everything except what I was telling them to. I obviously had a respiratory issue going on. I did not get my first respiratory treatment until about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and I was admitted at 6 a.m. So that right there is a problem. I don't know if you guys can see my arm, but that is a couple of the blood draws that they tried to do. They would not listen to me. They would not get the ultrasound or the blue, whatever, the light thing to find my veins. The lab techs were extremely arrogant, and as a result, I am bruised. I've lost probably 5 or 6 veins just because they weren't wanting to try. They had no idea about the autonomic system nervous system storms I have, which was causing my temperature to fluctuate. It was causing my heart rate to go crazy, my blood pressure to go up and down. All of my symptoms that they were freaking out about were explained by my body's response to trauma, stress, and infection. So instead of listening to me about what I needed help with, what I needed to get on top of, they decided to just go with their technology and their tests and all of that. I did have an elevated white count, so they did start me on antibiotics. However, every single test they ran, it came back negative. I requested a new x-ray. They never did it. I requested a strep test since it started with a sore throat, and I typically will get strep pneumonia. Never did that. They tested me for random things like a UTI, which I know when I have a UTI. They tested me for Legionnaires. Well, what are the chances that I would have had Legionnaires? So after being there literally all day Friday and having no answers and very poor treatment, I spent the night, but I basically told them I was leaving the next day whether they were going to release me or not. They were not doing anything for me in the hospital that I could not do for myself. I have my nebulizer. I have my cough machine. I can monitor my heart rate, my blood pressure, my O2. I can do everything at home, but I needed to get on top of the infection. And I really wanted to know what my x-ray looked like and what the infection even was. So yesterday, the attending comes in, says, "How you feeling?" I said, "Oh, I feel better. I still have my dry cough. I still have an irritated throat. But, my chest feels better." And I said, "And I'm leaving." She said, "Well, I have to get pulmonary to sign off." I said, "Well, whether pulmonary signs off or not, I'm leaving because pulmonary isn't doing much for me anyways." I was in a very uncomfortable bed. They could not give me an air mattress. They could not give me even the egg carton to put on the air mattress. So I was in a lot of pain, and they didn't want me up in my chair. So the only way I could eat was to be in a very uncomfortable position on the bed, which was compressing my stomach, which we all know people with SMA typically breathe with their stomach. And so, of course, whenever I would sit up, my heart rate, vitals, all that would go a little out of whack. Granted, it wasn't that much out of whack. My heart rate always runs higher than someone who doesn't have SMA. I was still sitting 99 at 98%. My BP actually was fairly normal for me. It was like 122 over 80 something. So if they would look at me on the whole and listen to me, things would have gone a lot better. Pulmonary came in, listened to me, said I sounded clear, but then the attending came back in and said, "Well, we're not releasing you because your heart rate is high." I said, "Well, I'm leaving." And she's like, "Well, we never release people with this heart rate." I said, "Well, it's close to my normal, and I'm leaving." It took 5 calls from my nurse to get the attending to finish my discharge papers. She did write a prescription for antibiotics. I requested a very specific nebulizer medicine called Zopanex. Zopanex does not make my heart race like albuterol was. And, since they were already concerned about my heart rate, you would have thought that they wouldn't have wanted to send me home on albuterol anyways. So I leave, still not knowing really what brought me in because they didn't test for what I asked them to. But my white count had dropped significantly, so at least the antibiotic they put me on, was working. I get home. We try to get the prescriptions filled. The doctor had written my nebulizer medicine wrong. Then no one there would answer the phone. I had Zopanex on hand, but it was expired. The pharmacist said it should still be good to at least get me through last night and today. So anyways, this is a rant because I'm very frustrated and I'm in pain, and I hate the hospital. I have so much PTSD from childhood trauma, being so sick, and then this experience made it all come back because they would not listen. And I know it's just lack of education and arrogance on the parts of doctors because they don't understand that someone who lives with a condition like SMA, we know our bodies better than they ever could. We know our bodies better than a test could ever tell them. And they need to understand that they need to listen to the patient. I wouldn't have had to have been admitted if Dayton Children's would have started me on prednisone, nebulizer medicines, and antibiotics, and just, watched me for a couple hours in the ER. It would have gotten on top of it. I just needed help because it hit me really fast, and I knew that I needed to get some help. But doctors don't want to listen. So I am kind of asking all of you guys, I don't know, let's start a letter campaign or something, writing to administrators of the hospitals in our areas and say, "Hey, my name is so-and-so, and I have a condition called spinal muscular atrophy. and here's what you need to know, and here's what your emergency departments need to know. Here's what your pulmonary departments need to know. Ask them to have their staff research so that it's not a situation that I just went through. It's completely ridiculous. Anyways, I do feel I'm getting on the mend. As always, it's going to take me a while to get back to baseline. But I do feel better today than I obviously did when I went in. So the antibiotics are continuing to work. Of course, the timing of this is terrible because on Tuesday, I go to do my PT evaluation for my Spinraza dose next month. And my arms are so bruised and battered from blown veins that they hurt to move. But I'm hoping a couple days of healing and maybe I'll be able to get through that. But anyways, yeah. So I know I haven't made a video for a while, but this was just kind of on my mind, so I wanted to say hi and give you guys kind of an update and a request, and then I will do another video on Tuesday after my PT eval, let you know how that went. And if you guys have any questions or any other ideas about better advocacy for hospitals, that would be fantastic. So anyways, I hope you guys are having a great Sunday, and I will talk to you again very soon. Bye.